Just putting the finishing touches with a 1 micron stone on this Wusthof knife. Now I'm sharpening it, which involves the removal of steel as opposed to stealing a knife, which ideally shouldn't actually remove any steel and is essential for blade maintenance. I'm making a distinction because I'm going to talk about steels, and I'm going to demonstrate the use of a steel. Now, I use Ironclad frying pans. They're a cast iron frying pan with a 100-year warranty. This is one of them here. I bought this one myself. A really good piece of kit. Solid. I made this to not burn my hand when I'm using it. Absolutely love them, recommend them. As well as making, I don't work for them by the way, as well as making them, big ones like this. They make a smaller one and a Dutch oven now. As well as that, they have collaborated with Victory Knives and have a chef's knife, a santoku. And also recently, they have created a steel, a knife steel. They erroneously called a sharpening steel, which is not. So they sent me an email which said, probably endorsed by ninjas, Kia ora Shelley, we're proud to share with you the brand new Ironclad sharpening steel. Shouldn't be called a sharpening steel. Beautiful, isn't she? The Ironclad black sharpening steel that's created in New Plymouth from top high quality German steel. That's the good stuff. The surface of the steel is what's called a number 3 cut. For those less familiar with the language, a number 3 cut is a general purpose sharpening edge cut into the surface of the steel. A number 3 cut is coarse enough to tackle the dullest blade in your kitchen. We choose black steel for 3 critical reasons. 1, black steel holds its edge longer than traditional chrome plated steel, so you'll notice less drag when sharpening. 2, black steel won't rust. And 3, black is a colour commonly associated with ninjas, so it makes sense that black steel would be the go-to sharpening steel for ninjas. And everyone knows that ninjas are blade experts. As always, we have a limited run. That's to avoid the waste that comes with mass run factory produced products. If you miss out on this run, don't worry, just email us and we'll hold one for you for next time. Also, if anyone knows a ninja who'd be interested in endorsing the Ironclad coat sharpening steel, please get in touch. We'll send you a steel. Now, I'm a knife maker and a knife sharpener. What you also may not realise is that I'm a black belt in Togakuru Ninjutsu. So, when I got this email, I went along with my gi down to the company, had a chat to them, and they sent me, or gave me, one of their sharpening steels to review. It's been given to me for free, haven't paid for it, that's my opinion. So it comes in a nice box, denoting that it's New Zealand made. It's recyclable material in the box. The sharpening steel looks like this. Now the handle, interestingly, is made with plastic and recycled wool. So you can see the discolorations. That's because it's got some natural products in there. This is also a Cambrian steel made by the same company. A little bit bigger, a little bit thinner. I've had this one probably for 25 years and it's only now just beginning to come into its own, because when I got it, it was too harsh and it damaged knife blades. Because the problem is that if it's too harsh, it starts to remove the steel. You don't want to remove a steel when you're steeling a knife. All you really want to do is tickle it. This one has got a pretty fine grind on it. We'll see. This one here is made by Lockwood Brothers in Sheffield. somewhere between 1892 and probably about 1912. You can see it has rusted in spots, but is only now just, oh, it's still completely usable. This here is a little wee incy bincy one, which is made from ceramic, not steel. You can also get diamond ones. I wouldn't recommend a diamond one unless it's for a filleting knife on a boat or something like that, because it will just destroy your edge. It will rip stuff out of it. This blade is being sharpened with diamonds, but it won't damage them because I have slowly used a progressive sharpening technique where I started with 140 grit and set the edge, and then I went up in increments until eventually I got to about 16,000 grit, which is what I just finished with. So the edge on this will not be damaged, while the initial stone did reset the angle. I've set the angle on this one at 15 degrees per side, so that's a total of 30 degrees, which I think is perfect for a chef knife. Some chef's knives are set from the factory at 20 or so. Now, the edge on this, now been finished, is pretty much going to be a razor. Very, very sharp. And I don't know if you can see that, but it's got an absolute mirror finish. Sharpness wise, it's just gliding through that effortlessly. Now that's what you want. The problem with that though is that the edge is just microns thick, right at the very edge, right at the tip. Even though, you know, it's steel and it's hard metal, at that tip it is so fine and so thin that it's easily damaged. Now if you hit something metal with it, it will chip. If you hit something metal with it with less force, it might just bend over or it might ding. Now this is a stainless blade, so it will probably chip. A non-stainless blade is more likely just to ding, so it will deform around it. It won't actually remove metal. Either damage from that sort of procedure can only be fixed by sharpening. You can't maintain it. However, everyday use of a knife will cause a little bit of damage, and what will happen is that the edge, which is like this, can just roll over a little bit, as if you're running the edge along to get the last bit of meat off a bone, or you cutting through some particularly hard pumpkin or something like that. The blade can bend. An example is this one here, which I have used a fair bit. Now I'll try and do the same paper test. Or cut, but not as smoothly. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to damage the blade slightly and then use this to maintain it. Now, like I was saying before, this isn't for sharpening. What it's for doing is pushing the bend back so that it's straight. So if your blade is not cutting as well as you think it should, even though it is supposedly sharp, you can restore it with steel. And I recommend steeling the blade every time after you've used it. Basically, I would use the knife, wash it, dry it, steel it, put it away, get it out next time. That way it'll be safe and sharp and ready to go. So, we take this, this is going to be hard, and then we kind of just push it along like that. I'm just doing this on one side. And Ceramics are much harder than steel, less aggressive too, so they're a really good option. Oh yeah, so you can see it starting to catch. It's not cutting as nicely. So, different ways of using this. You can set it down. What you're going to do is find edge, so that's 45. Oh, sorry, that's 90, 45, probably about 22 and a half. And you just run it down and repeat. You're not using a lot of force. You're just using a little bit to keep it steady and the weight. Once you get used to doing it like that and you know what you're doing, you can do it like this. That's what I prefer. Now, I can feel and you can hear the noise it makes as it runs along. It doesn't appear to be cutting, which is what you want. You don't want this to actually remove steel. When I first got my other one, it was particularly harsh, and you can see on this blade that it dipped slightly, and that dip is caused by this being too aggressive. So it's actually removed steel, toned it. It's actually just dug a hole in it and I had to fix it, but it's good now. Besides having that sort of dip, it's still a good usable blade. Now this one, so the handle is comfortable. Steel's got a good weight to it. You can see it's leaving marks where I've used it, so there is a little bit of aggression on this, and they did say it's number 3 cut and that it is quite aggressive, but let's see now. See, yeah, so now still a little bit right at the tip, and the tip is the hardest bit to do when you're steeling, because you start here and at that point it can easily fall off. So these are made in New Zealand with an interesting wool handle. Yeah, so there we are. That now, having been steeled to remove any damage, is virtually okay, so it's not as sharp as this one, but this one's just been sharpened, and that other one has been used quite heavily before. And it's still very sharp though. So what do I think of this? I think it's very good. I think the cut on it, the grind, is less aggressive than this one, which is actually made by the same company, Cambrian steel, made down in New Plymouth by, I got the name of the company that actually make it, or they call themselves Cambrian Steels. Their actual name is bloorandpillar.co.nz. This one is quite long for big knives. This one is closer to the Sheffield one. Good weight to it. Handle is comfortable. You're not going to slip out of that. There's enough guard that you're unlikely to chop into your hand if you do it wrong, although obviously you could. it works a treat. So, gets my tick of approval. So, as I said, probably endorsed by ninjas. As far as I'm concerned, it now is endorsed by ninjas. Works on this. It'll work on almost any other steel, I suspect. Knife steel, it doesn't matter whether you're using it on a kitchen knife, which I recommend, or whether you're using it on a pocket knife or any other knife. It should just work, and it's working not by sharpening. It's not a sharpening steel, it's a maintenance steel, and it's realigning the edge so that any bending is fixed. If you actually chip, dent, or dull the blade beyond normal use, the steel's not going to do anything. You need to actually put it in a sharpener and have the edge restored, then use this every time you use it in the kitchen or somewhere else. Yeah, so the Ironclad knife sharpening steel, although it's not a sharpening steel, it's a maintenance steel, gets the ninja tick from me. Cheers.